When there is blood in the streets, the strong eat well. My friends, there is blood in the streets. And for those of us who can read a stock chart, who have been spending the 10 to 15 minutes each and every day doing your practice trading, watching the markets, understanding stock movement, you can see that opportunities abound as everyone else panics and runs around like chickens with their heads cut off. Let's jump first into by the way, Patreon members, don't forget we put off 1 week. I did this back right after the last live Patreon Q&A. I put it off from last week since I was out of the country in London. Had a great time there. Again, appreciate everyone for all of your support. But we put that training off, the live question and answer from last Wednesday to this Wednesday, the 11th. So Patreon members, again, as always, 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. We will be there for you. Look in your show notes. You will see all of the call-in information that you need. But let's jump into these charts and see what is going on. Oh, by the way, Patreon members, get your stocks, ETFs you want us to help you backtrack and practice trade, and also your questions in if you haven't already sent them in to us. Now, as you look at these charts on the S&P 500, what do you see? Our success multiplier formula, -15. We had that bump up, which was beautiful. That occurred on the 4th and then started dying on the morning of the 5th. And then, of course, in the afternoon, we had the rotation over. And again, what's so beautiful about these pullbacks is what do they do for us as the market crashes? Well, I guess I should call them pull-ups, where things are going down and then they level off and pull up a little and the STC goes green. But your 2-day and your weekly remain negative. What does that do for us? Well, it offers us great opportunity. Why? It allows us to jump in and short, and you can see how successful this has been in the past. The last one we had, when things crossed over, we had a 1.62% stop position, and of course we doubled that for our 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, I guess reward to risk ratio. What do we see there? 3.24. We garnered that in that practice trade in just a day or so. I mean, it was beautiful how quickly that short position. You might say, Tom, how do I short the S&P 500? Well, you do it with something like SH. You can practice trade that. That is the inverse of SPY. It is the ProShares short. In fact, what does it do? It goes up when the S&P goes down, and it gives you the opportunity to short it. Now, just for simplicity and for teaching's sake, I set these charts up and I show you the shorts on the S&P. This also works what? If you are a Patreon member and have taken our training, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way, you can practice trade puts. And again, they work too. They work marvelously when you know the right direction. And when you see charts set up like this that give you incredible possibilities, then ride those babies to success. Now, we're already down substantially. We haven't hit the 5.06%, but we're down maybe 4 at this point, which is great. If you're in the inverse fund, you're up 4. And again, over the course of 1-2 days, that's beautiful. And again, you don't have to go all the way down to 5.6. You can take your profits whenever you choose. But again, being able to read a chart, being able to understand the success multiplier formula, how it works in your favor, because it shows you what those bigger charts are doing, along with this half-day chart, which gives you the opportunity to jump in. So again, that's working great. Let's go into the Qs. Oh, and by the way, blood in the streets, S&P down 3.20%. NASDAQ 100, the tech stocks, down a whopping 3.91%. And of course, the jumping in point for the short there was when we had that pull up. And again, we like it when we go above, but we topped out right on that top band. And again, there's a little bit of danger there, but with so much down movement, we went ahead and pulled the trigger on this practice trade, ready to pull out if it did not work. But of course, again, it's down right at what, 5% or so now. So that's beautiful in the course of just 2 days. And again, negative 15 on the success multiplier formula. The 2-day is still strongly down. The weekly is, of course, strongly down, just looking terrible. And again, for the folks that are sitting there in the markets, just holding on and just getting hammered, I feel sorry for them. I wish they would have studied with us and that they would have paid attention to how to read a stock chart and that they would have seen this coming. It's your money. Do with it what you want. We are not a stock calling service. We're an education firm, but educate yourself. Educate yourself. Let's look at 20-year bonds. Where are we there? Well, on the half-day chart, we can see that these babies are steaming down, almost topped out with a 4.52%. It was down about 4.3%. Didn't quite get down to 4.52. Still in the red, still going down. Jumping in point was there on the 2nd of May. And again, no reason to get out. We didn't end up going into the positive there once it flipped over. And of course, what did we have? We had a negative 15 on our success multiplier formula. Things just a hammering down. So again, looking quite beautiful, working quite well for us. And of course, that 2-day and that weekly still very strongly down on bonds. Now, let's go back to the half day and look at, oh, and by the way, the TLT, that's 20-year government bonds, did end up for the day, 0.88%, down in the morning but recovered in the afternoon. Let's look at gold, down 1.45%. And of course, we had a short position offer itself up. Since we went below the 200 EMA, we were at negative 15. Why is that? Because the 2-day and the weekly are both negative. And so what opportunity was offered us when things crossed over going down? Again, jumping into a short position in gold. What do we see happening? And of course, for us, since DGZ doesn't work so well, too much between the bid and the ask on the gold inverse fund, then we would definitely be looking at jumping into puts for down positions in gold. And of course, what this allows you to do, if you've taken our training on the Greeks, you know how to use the delta. You know how to use the Greeks to help you calculate the dollar moves down, so you can come up with some good idea as to what you might want to look at as far as capturing some moves in gold on a put. And again, I encourage our Patreon members to look back at the stuff we published in the Patreon, on the Patreon page about both the 2 articles I wrote for you on the Greeks to learn how to do those calculations and use those things. We can talk more about that on Wednesday too, if that'll help you guys out. But a short position offered itself up in gold. We'll monitor that very closely. But again, negative 15 on the success multiplier formula. So we have hope that will just continue to push down strongly. So that is where we are on gold. And then lastly, isn't it? Well, and yeah, I think I already went through, showed you gold was down on everything. Lastly, we'll take a look at Bitcoin, of course, down strongly on the weekly, down strongly on the 2-day, and of course, what happened with that half day. Well, you can tell that we've already had a successful short trade. What happened was the jumping in point. We went from green to red. Remember the last one we had, which we counted as a failure. Why? Because it went green on us. We jumped in. We had some down movement. Then things sprang up. And once they go green, we went ahead and pulled that with no loss. We just got out with no gain, and then we just waited and we said, oh, look, it went down afterwards. Then it popped back up again. But guess what? It presented us a golden opportunity of following the rules and seeing them work for us. And what happened? We had a 13.61% down move, which we easily captured over the course of 2 days. Quite beautiful. Bitcoin down on the futures XBTF, 14.03% for the day. So again, I just encourage you, if you do nothing more than practice trade these things to see if you can make it work. And then people say, Thom, what's the next step? What if I start getting really good at this? Then you start fractionally trading. What is that? Small dollar amounts. Do you see what some of these things cost? Look at XBTF. What does it cost if you wanted to buy a share going up? $30? You can buy 1 share. You can practice trade that. What about gold? What is gold going for? $172. If you deal with a broker who will let you do fractional trading, you could just buy a fractional share, $100, and see, again, if you can make things work. You can buy 1 contract. Again, if you're going to practice trade puts, and again, you don't want any super high price stock where it's going to cost you a lot of money to buy a small contract, but those are other options. Or again, if you're just getting started, just practice trade. Just use this little measurement tool over here where it gives you the ability to put in long and short positions. We have that training on those latest videos we put out of how to set those up. Easy to set up. They're pretty much self-explanatory. And again, 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. What do you use? You can use the closing price if nothing else. And of course, you can use the average true range. And you want to use the higher average true range when it's going down and the lower average true range when it's going up to set your stops. So easy enough to do. Folks, it's so good to be back with you, to be back in the States after a successful trip to the UK. And again, just appreciate you being with us. I can't wait to have the Patreon members with me on Wednesday. And if you're not a Patreon member, what are you waiting for? You appreciate what we do? You think it might be worth as little as $1 a day? Well, $30 will get you at the Patreon support level number 3. And we would love to have you with us. Thanks so much, my friends. God bless. All the best. I hope you're enjoying this market as much as I am.